Hi everyone, and welcome to our Ask Me Anything show. My name is Frances Hume and I'm the National Development Officer at Interfaith Scotland. Over the past few weeks, we've been asking primary and secondary school pupils to send in questions to our young volunteers of lots of different faiths. And today I'm delighted to welcome two young people from the Christian faith, one who is a Catholic and the other who is a Protestant. So I'd like to introduce you to Niamh Dillon, who's from the Catholic faith, and Robin Downey, who is a Protestant and a member of the Church of Scotland. Now, before we start asking the questions from the school pupils, I'd like to ask Niamh and Robin a little bit about their religion. So first of all, I'll start with Niamh. Can I ask you a little bit about being a Catholic?
So Catholicism is a denomination of Christianity with beliefs based on the Christian Bible. It tells us that Jesus is the Son of God, and Jesus' mother Mary also plays a very important part of our faith. We believe in the 7 sacraments, one of which is communion, where the bread we are given symbolises the body of Jesus. But to me personally, my faith shows me a path to God, that is, a way to be human and live a meaningful life. It highlights to me that we are one human family and that we should treat each other and other beings on this earth and this planet itself accordingly, with respect, kindness and compassion.
Lovely, thanks very much, Niamh. And how about you, Robin?
Yeah, my faith is around the Old Testament, which is a book which is about all the things that happened before Jesus, and then the New Testament, which is about Jesus Christ and what goes on after. I believe that Jesus Christ is the Son of God who came down to earth during the Roman times. I believe that Jesus revolves around love and word and practice, and that he died on the cross to save me and many other Christians of the wrong things that we have done, by doing so allowing me to join with God in heaven.
Thank you, Robin. So now I'm coming to the first question from our school pupils. And that one is, did you choose your religion or did you follow your family's religion? So I'll ask that to Niamh first of all.
Well, I was born into a Catholic family, and the idea that it's something my family and my ancestors, the people that came before me, have practiced is an important dimension of my own belief. But even as a young child, when you can't grasp what a priest or a teacher may exactly be saying, the feeling of belonging to something and practicing traditions was important. I think that's something all humans can relate to, that need for ritual. In terms of my own journey with Catholicism, it started when I took it into my own hands and asked myself the question, what is the real world application of these principles? How can I live out my faith in daily life?
Great, thank you. And how about you, Robin? Did you choose your faith?
No, I don't actually come from a Christian family. I'm the only Christian in my family. Until I was about 12, I really had no interest in Christianity. I kind of thought it was just a religion where old people were involved in, and it wasn't fun. But through a friend who took me to some youth clubs, I learned out that it was a lot of fun and that it really was interesting, and it had a place for me and a part for me. And over time, I realised that I wanted to become a Christian, and I asked God to enter my life. And I would say that was the start of my Christian journey.
Great, thank you, Robin. That's really interesting. So that leads me on to my next question, which is an interesting one as well. And it is, what do you like about your religion? Okay, I'll go back to Niamh to start us off on that one.
I like that my church is so visible in our local community. Even for people who are of a different faith, the services provided are there to help everyone. And this is so representative of what it means to be a Catholic to me. I feel like this is reflected on a wider scale in terms of how Pope Francis has been very open about encouraging dialogue between different faiths and encouraging curiosity.
Okay, thank you. And Robin?
Yeah, so can you ask me that question again, please?
What do you like about your religion?
Okay, yeah. So I like that my religion is centered about love, and that Jesus' teaching, he wasn't about, wearing a gold chain or just speaking with the most important people in the world, but he spoke to everyone. He spoke to the poor, he spoke to the hungry, and that his message was all about love, and that he welcomes anyone, not just about who your background is or how much money you have or anything like that. And that really appeals to me. And the fact that his teaching was to go about and to help the poor and to love each other as you'd like to be loved yourself.
Great, thanks, Robin. Now we have a little practical question about how you practice your faith. And that question is, how do you pray? Why do you pray? And what is it like to pray? So, Niamh, I'll ask you that first.
I think as you grow up and you learn to live out your faith on your own terms, the way you pray changes. So it's very personal to everyone. In the Catholic faith, it can be following a structure, i.e. saying the rosary, or it can just be allowing yourself to have some quiet time at the end of the day and connect with God, or it can be a combination of both of these things. I think in this day and age where there are so many distractions, this quiet time is invaluable. But I think what's important to remember is there is no right or wrong way to pray, or no pressure you should put on yourself. It's whatever you feel connects you most with God.
Great, thank you. And Robin, how do you pray and what's that like?
So sometimes I pray with other people and I pray in groups, and that can be nice because it can give you a feeling of connectivity with people. But I sometimes just like to pray by myself, and like Niamh, I like to go to a quiet space and to feel alone and have alone opportunities to speak to God. Sometimes I can pray for things that I'd like help with, or maybe family or friends who are going for hard times. But also I can be thankful, and sometimes I follow a set prayer, but other times I just speak to God, and sometimes I can be a bit angry, but sometimes I can be a bit upset. I sometimes pray before I have my dinner as well.
Great, thank you. Now, the next question is, do you go to a place of worship and why? And I'm going to mix it up a bit and ask Robin first.
Yes, no problem. So I go to a place of worship. So every Sunday I try to go to a church, and we usually meet in the mornings about 10:30 or 11. The reason I go is I like to go to meet other Christians, and this gives me a boost throughout the week. It helps me to feel good about myself and to feel connected to other Christians. Sometimes I go to my Sunday and I'm quite upset, and I might speak to the minister, who's the person who would lead the church. It's a time as well that I learn more about my faith. I sing as well with other Christians, and I learn about the Bible.
Great, thanks, Robin. And how about you, Niamh? Do you go to a place of worship?
Yes, I go to church maybe on a Saturday night or a Sunday morning. I feel like it's always been at the centre of my faith, and kind of similar to what I was saying about praying, it's important to try and make that time in this world where everything's so busy and there's so many distractions. Having that structure and that network where you can connect with other people who are Christian or Catholic is really important. And I've seen this framework that binds us all together in different areas of life as well, not just in the Catholic Church, but with people of different faiths too.
Great, thank you. Now, somebody is asking, do you wear any special clothes? Now, I guess that could be in day-to-day life, or it could be to going to church, or possibly it might be to do with special jewelry or something that shows you're from the Christian faith. So, Niamh, do you have any special clothes or jewelry that you wear?
Not on a day-to-day basis, nothing. I do have a crucifix, which I suppose is a sort of reassuring thing to have on you. I think for Catholics, communion is a big one. So a lot of girls wear white dresses and boys will wear kilts for their communion. But generally, no, I don't have any special clothes I wear.
Okay, thank you. How about you, Robin? Any special clothes?
So to say going to church or for acting as a Christian, I would say predominantly not. Sometimes on a Sunday, people maybe dress up a bit and they maybe put a suit on or a smart tie on or a dress, or some people wear hats when they go to church as well. For me though, I usually just go in my day-to-day stuff. I might put on a wee shirt or something, but I believe that Jesus sees what's inside us, not what outside us. So a personal thing, it's not. In terms of my day-to-day living, I'm a nurse, and so I've got my uniform here, so I have to wear this every day. So there you go. I've got a dark navy brew, and when I was a student nurse, I had a grey one. And if I become a senior nurse, I get a purple one. So there you go. So I wear that every day at work.
Thanks, Robin. I've learned something new today. That's brilliant. So I have another question here, and that is, do you eat any special foods? Now I'll ask that to Neve first.
There's no particular special food that I eat, but during Easter, there's a thing called Lent where we give up something for 40 days. So that could be some food that you like, or maybe you make a promise to yourself to do something. There's no special foods that I eat, no.
Okay, thank you. And how about you, Robin?
I wouldn't say there's any special foods that I particularly eat, but quite often Christian gatherings that I attend can be sometimes based around a meal, and often we are thankful for that meal and where that meal has come from. Or sometimes after a church service, then we have coffee and biscuits and cake, which is great because I love cake and I love coffee, and it allows a chance for us to just chat and to meet new people, and there might be visitors to the church, so that's always nice as well.
Super, thanks very much. Now we have a couple of questions here from pupils at St Dennis Primary School in Glasgow, and the first question, they would like to know about what countries that you've been to. So Neve, what countries, or is there anywhere in Scotland that you'd like to tell us about that you've been to?
Well, I have been to Rome, which is where the Pope lives, in the Vatican, but I was very young at the time, so maybe I would appreciate that more now. In terms of exploring my own faith in my own country, though, for 6 months I lived on a little island that's only 3 hours away from Glasgow, and it's a Buddhist island, and I feel like not a lot of people know that there's a Buddhist island so close to Glasgow. But what I discovered through living there is that even a religion like Catholicism or Christianity and Buddhism, which have completely different backgrounds and are from different parts of the world, have so much in common. And the island itself was owned by a Catholic woman who then handed it over to the Buddhist monastery in Scotland. I think that's a really interesting thing, and it's a way that I explored my faith in my own country.
Great, thank you. And that island, what's it called?
Holy Isle.
Holy Isle, lovely, thank you. Maybe that's something some of us could explore since it's not far away.
Yeah,
Robin, what about you? Have you been into any different countries?
Yeah, so I've been to a few different countries helping to run holiday camps with the Church of Scotland, which is the church that I go to. So I've been to Taiwan, which is near China, to help run holiday camps, and I've been to Bulgaria, and I've spent some time in Romania as well, helping to run holiday camps. I've also been to Rwanda, which was with Interfaith Scotland, and that was with a group of Christians and a group of Muslims, and that was to explore the different religions and to explore the similarities and the differences between them.
Great, interesting. That sounds like lots of interesting travels that you've had. Thank you for sharing that. So the next question is, what does your religion tell you about right and wrong? So I'll start with Robin this time.
Okay, yeah. So in the Old Testament, there was 10 commandments, and that was something that a person called Moses found. And some of the 10 commandments said stuff like, thou shalt not kill, or thou shalt not lie. But then in the New Testament, we have Jesus, and Jesus' main teaching was around that you should love thy neighbour, so love your friend or the people around you as you'd like to be loved yourself.
Great, thank you. And Neve, do you have anything to add about what your faith says about right and wrong?
Well, everyone has a different idea of right and wrong, and that would be informed by their own religious upbringing or whatever experiences they may have had. It's definitely not a black and white thing for everyone, but for me and how Catholicism informs my idea of what's right and wrong is it allows me to make decisions based on the understanding and compassion that I've learned through working with the church, and a non-judgmental way as possible, and always evaluating my where I'm coming from and if my intentions are good.
Okay, so it's the attitude that you have towards things and whether you're doing it with a good heart, yeah. Okay.
Yes.
So another question here, which is kind of similar, is How has your religion affected the way that you live your life? Okay, Neve, we'll ask you first.
The crucial thing to me about being a Catholic is living it out in an everyday setting, and I do this through supporting projects that align with these values. So this has led to me being really involved in my own community, and I've done this through a group called the St Vincent de Paul. This is a group providing social services for the local needs, and it's named after a saint who devoted his life to helping people that were less fortunate than him. So we work with refugee families, we organise food banks, and we also make links with other community projects. But I feel like this has impacted my life in a big way because it's allowed me to connect with the world around me, with my own community, and even with my own country.
Great, thanks, Neve. And Robin, how has your religion affected the way you live your life?
I think my religion affects my day-to-day life and the big decisions I make, and even the small decisions I make. It affects how I go about. The teachings that we follow is to live in the example of Jesus and how he lived his life. And Jesus was very compassionate. He worked with the poor. He helped people. He didn't, make lots of money and become rich and famous, but he was very modest and he helped each other. So from that, I feel that my day-to-day life should be helping others. It should be treating others as I would like to be treated. It should be working with the poorest in Scotland and in the world, and trying to make the difference to make the world a better place, and to not just be selfish and doing what I want to do, but to think about others. It's also by respecting God and making sure I make time for God, and that I'm not just thinking about what I want to do.
Great, thanks, Robin. Super. So here's an interesting question. This is about living your faith in Scotland. And the question is, what is it like living your faith in Scotland today? So Neve, I'll ask you that first.
Well, obviously in the past, Scotland had issues with religion, so the division between Catholic and Protestant was very prominent. It was considered a huge cultural split. I think nowadays society has become more diverse and progressive, and we're more focused on finding common ground than trying to focus on differences. I think there's now a new sense of a Scottish identity, that people, no matter what your religion is or your skin colour or your background, we can all feel Scottish and united under that one banner. So I feel in a way now being Catholic has allowed me to sort of care about my own country more and do good things for the communities around me.
Great, thank you. So Robin, what do you think it's like living your faith in Scotland today?
I think it's a great thing, being a Christian in Scotland. I think it's mostly very well respected, and people really understand that, that you follow a belief and that there's something maybe a little bit different about you. Sometimes people maybe don't understand your faith, but maybe that's just because they want to know more about it. It opens up lots more opportunities living in Scotland, and certainly in the Church of Scotland, for example, where I've had my own experiences, it's opened up lots of opportunities to make friends in Scotland, to be part of youth groups in Scotland, to have my opinion shared in Scotland, and even just to meet up and play a game of football.
Great, thank you. So you're both here from the Christian faith, Catholic and Protestant, and you have some things that are distinct to your own traditions, but also quite a lot of things that you share in common, which you've talked about today. And I've got a more general question here about what you think religions share in common. So there's lots of different faiths all over the world, but can you see anything that's similar between them? Robin, I'll start with you.
Yes, no problem. I think it's quite hard because often we are brought up in our own religion, and sometimes we don't have lots of opportunities to learn about different religions, and I feel like that's quite sad. And then when we don't know about religions, it's hard to give opinions. It's hard to connect with other people. But I've been fortunate to have some opportunities, and quite often I found that these religions that I don't know a bit about, and I'm sometimes a little bit scared or fearful about knowing information about these religions, that I find out that they're actually mainly based about love, and that it's not always about knowing the bits and bobs and the do's and don'ts. It's knowing the core values, and most of the religions that I've had experience with have all been around love, which is also what I believe Christianity is based around.
Super, thanks, Robin. And Niamh, do you have anything to say about religions and what they share in common?
Yeah, I agree. I've found that speaking to other people from different faiths has shown me that I've had more in common with people than I would have expected. I think all religions have some truth to them. It's a way of understanding God and the divine nature in all of us that's informed by the culture and the climate and the era that these religions were created. I feel this is supported by the reoccurring themes in different religions. So just to draw on what I was saying earlier about living on Holy Isle, which is a Buddhist island, there's a thing called the Buddha nature in Buddhism, and in Christianity and Catholicism, something called the Christ nature, and these two things have very similar principles. And I just think that's so interesting, again, that two religions from such different cultures and parts of the world have a similarity.
Great, thank you. So we're actually on to our final question now, and that is from pupils at Craigie High School in Dundee. And that question is, why are there so many different beliefs in the world? So that's a pretty interesting question. I don't know who'd like to take that one first. I should give you a choice now. Who would like to start?
I'll have a go at it. I think that's actually a really difficult question. I mean, it's really hard to answer. I mean, I don't quite know where to start, and I think, to be honest, I don't know the answer. I don't know why there's so many beliefs, and it's maybe something that I need to look into. So I'm afraid you've got a question that's too much for my knowledge.
Oh dear, well those pupils will be pleased with themselves that they... No worries, Robin, it is a difficult question. Niamh, do you have anything you might want to add about why there's so many different religions or different beliefs?
Well, I feel like kind of what I said in the previous answer a little bit is religions develop out of the climate and the culture that they were created in, and it's specific to the needs of that time sometimes. So religions develop based on those specific needs of those people and of the era, if that makes sense. But yeah, I do think they all have truth to them that can last throughout the ages too. So yeah.
Okay, thank you, Niamh. Well, that's actually us at the end of our questions for today's show. So I just want to thank Niamh and Robin so much for being with us, for sharing your beliefs and also telling us a bit about your life and from a personal point of view, which I always think is such an interesting thing for our listeners as well. So thank you both very much for coming, and we hope you all enjoyed the show today.